All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Monday. How's it going, Jennifer?
Good. How are you?
Good. You just had a Zoom class. How was that?
Uneventful. It was great. No, it's good.
Uneventful is good, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of information, me just talking the whole time. I had a little Zoom problems with sharing my screen, but we made the best of it.
Okay.
Technical difficulties happens time to time.
What did you do? Was it product stuff?
Color, Hoover's product knowledge.
Cool.
Yeah. Someone new
Cool.
to a salon that just needs kind of the background information so she can have the knowledge to do a great job.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
What are we talking about today? We are talking about, this was your topic idea, so.
We are talking about my team won't do that.
What does that mean?
So I was recently in a salon and I was there to do some Hoover.
Oh, we'll get there. Just what does that mean?
It means that when you want to implement new
Because don't you for a second think you're skipping opening takes.
it just means so my notes were that like you want to
No, I don't want your notes. I want just like real quick. What are you talking
I'm
about?
trying. You're not letting me go.
Because you're going to give us the whole thing
Nope.
and you're trying to get out of doing opening.
Basically, my team won't do that. You want to try to implement something new, and the excuse is always some will do it, some won't, some don't care. And then you just don't do anything.
All right.
How's that?
That was good. Good summary.
Thanks. That's right.
Opening takes. You want me to go or you want to go?
You can go.
All right. So I have a quick one this week. Sometimes the easiest way to solve a problem is to not create the problem. I see a lot of people online and a lot of people that I talk to who have these problems that wouldn't exist if they didn't create them on their own. And I think part of it might be what you're talking about here. I think part of it might be we create these problems in our heads and therefore they become problems when they aren't. They're not a thing. Yeah. We've just created them in our head. It's the same thing like what you're saying. Like I want to implement a change. I'm afraid my staff won't do it. Well, why are you afraid your staff won't do it? You haven't even implemented the change yet. You haven't trained them up on it. You haven't explained anything to anybody, but you're already convinced that nobody will do it. Go ahead. What do you got?
Oh, I'm slacking here. I have
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing at all. But let's go with I believe in order to be a good leader in whatever position you're at, how you handle, I think I've said this one before, but I think it's really important. How you handle all the curveballs that come at you in your day-to-day presence is really important. So you got to like self-check your attitude, your emotions, and put those aside for all the problems or things that like come your way so that you can handle them in a way that takes the emotion out. And I don't think that's easy to do. Todd and I talk all the time. You know, I'm behind the chair and most often having to help our hair pros under Hello formulate, but there's client issues that come up, or one of our staff, they have an issue. And it means wearing multiple hats at multiple times, but it also means being my best self and not letting my frustrations come out towards them. And that is something that I've had to work on over time, and I feel like I've gotten fairly good at. But I think as a leader, if again, this topic, you're like, my team won't do that, then the reflection becomes, well, what are you doing to lead your team so that they believe in the things you're doing? And it's how you treat them, and it's your actions, and it's how you approach the problems that are thrown at you when you don't realize they're coming your way. It's easy when there's problems. You're like, let me get back to you in 24 hours. But it's how you handle it on the fly really shows, I think, your leadership qualities. So you may need to work on handling things on the fly.
I dig it.
Thanks.
So now let's dive into your topic.
Okay. I actually have a topic, guys. I'm so excited. So you want me to tell you now? Can I tell you how I got to my topiip?
Yeah, go nuts. Now we can talk about anything. I just didn't want you to try to weasel out of that opening take.
I did it. High five myself. Pat mountain back. All right. So I was in a salon this week, actually. I guess cool story. I've been in the salon a few times. I knew the owner that was selling it. She actually offered the salon to Todd and I. It's like, you guys should buy this. It'd be so great. It's just turnkey. And I was like, oh, we're not in a position. I don't have the bandwidth right now to do that. But anyway, so new ownership comes in and the same staff all stays there, which I guess is cool in some ways because you now have a salon with a staff, but you do have a staff that is clearly really led by the old owner, even though she's no longer there. So every situation that comes in. So I'm in this salon to teach a color class, but also we had some questions after about retail and they're just trying to find their identity. But the reason why they're trying to find the identity is because the owner hasn't found hers. So this staff is trying to help in this kind of meeting that really should have been the rep, the owner, and if she needed some knowledge from me, the three of us. But she decided to have her whole team on. So it's just becoming a battle of all these ideas. And, I had explained some stuff that we do at Hello with certain issues of like, where do you,
So
go ahead.
can I ask a
Yep.
question? She has this. So this isn't a class. This is a business meeting.
It was a class on troubleshooting issues they were having with the color line, like just things that weren't working, plus didn't realize some of the new products that had come out that are going to help them. But then it went into a retail class, and then her and I were chatting after. I guess that's how that went.
Okay.
Just turned into a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said something like her team was getting involved or something with what? Shouldn't they just be listening to the class?
At that point, the class had gone a different direction, and the rep had taken over to talk about some maybe new brands they'd put on the shelf. So then
It sounds like a nightmare to me.
it was chaotic.
It sounds not organized at all.
Yeah, it was not organized, which I don't mind on the fly. Like I can.
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't be how I would run something, but this is where I think
if somebody came in, if I showed up at if I went into Hello and I had somebody coming in from a color line or whatever brand coming in, and all of a sudden we're in a discussion about business and my staff is chiming in, I would be pissed. And that person would never be back.
Yeah, but that's
just being me. That's just being real.
I think
we've had that happen before where all of a sudden the educator, and I'm not saying you did this, but the educator started talking about percents and
no.
commission salons rip off people and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, you're in a commission-based salon.
I stay in my lane. I know where it is. I like to
I'm just curious because it's I think this is part of the issue with a lot of people is that there's a lack of clarity anywhere and there's just confusion because there's too many people trying to drive the ship.
And
that's not their place.
I think in this case, this goes down to leadership. So this is where it all came from. I had said, because now we're in just this whole meeting of like, basically everyone's complaining, and I get it. They have these like stations where the products all go in the side. So all the products get lost. So they might have, and they realized a lot of the products I was talking about, they had in their shelves for back bar, but either people hoard them or they just get hidden because they must never clean them or put them out. So I was explaining.
What do you mean hoard?
I think they hoard them, like they don't want to share them. They want them at their station because they can't find any of the products that they're going to use. So like,
I don't understand. How big is this salon? Is it like a quarter mile across?
Nope, there's probably 8 stations. But if you don't know which station is, you're having to look at 8 stations. So that's 16 sides. So you'd have to, if you don't have the product at your station, you're going in 16 cubbies or 15 because you have one to find a product.
I'm so confused right now. So if I want to use hairspray, I have to go search it down?
Or people were trying to hoard them in their own cubby so that they have it. Some people were hoarding 15 of them. They had them all in their cubby. It's a very odd system. Well, it's a very normal system.
Is this
what?
So is this a commission-based salon or rent? So the salon owns those products. So why are they not just going back to where they're supposed to be?
I would assume. I don't know exactly.
Is there a common area?
No. This is where I started to say, why don't you have a common area? This is what we do at Hello. It's a common area.
Dear God, this is confusing.
This is where I think it's very normal, actually, to be honest.
So you go into the salon and there's no systems or nothing at
I don't think so. No.
Okay, go ahead. Continue. I'm trying to help people understand it better.
So
when I get confused, I feel like other people are going to get confused, and everyone's probably confused.
This is where I was like, what we do at Hello, it works really, really well. And I'm like, I used to have at my last salon the same stations, so I understand the problems you're having with products getting lost, or they should just be cleaned and organized, but just not staying organized. So it makes sense, and they have the space to do this, to have one area where you keep all your back bar. First of all, it's very clear as day where it all goes. And if you have a system of how it's put away, which we do, then it all stays organized over time. Like now that we have a system with our back bar, it is always organized. Everybody knows where to put everything. And that's how they do it. And
that's how we open.
Also, and this way too, when you're reordering, it's very easy to see what you're low for back bar products. So you're not just guessing or having to go through, in her case, 16 stations to see what do I need to replace. I only need to have 2 or 3 hairsprays because we all share and it all goes back on the station. So she was like, that's a great idea. But this is her exact answer was, hold on. Some of my staff will be all in. some don't care and some won't do it at all. So she's like, it's just wouldn't work here. And this could have been, now her whole staff's there, so they all hear her too.
Some of your staff can stay. Some of your staff needs to work on some stuff, and some of your staff is leaving.
Right. You just but so I don't think
I just solved the whole problem.
Or not that I don't think this watching this scenario from an outside standpoint, this salon is not led by a leader. I don't feel she's taken over and wants to like shake up the ship and be the owner and implement what she wants for a salon she wants to own. She's very afraid. And we had a little sidebar and I got all of that from her. And in return, she's starting to feel, I can see her feeling very defeated. We talked about that too. And actually, as we're sitting there, she was telling me she's been having all these headaches and all this stuff. And you could watch this scenario of how the salon is run, I think there's so many stresses because she's like, they don't understand. They asked me, literally, this is what she said. They asked me to bring in these products. So I do. And I stock my shelves with a bunch of stuff for them to sell. And then they don't sell it. And then I'm at them like, why aren't you selling it? And I'm like, and now in my mind, I'm like, well, you should have a mission and a vision and core values to make sure these products even work for your salon. But I think she's of the majority of a lot of salon owners that are trying or think they're leading a team by letting the team lead them. And then they don't understand why they're not profitable, why they're taking all these risks and they're not working. And it's because everything's kind of thrown to the wind. Like, I'll just try this because that's what they want. And I want them to be happy. But at the end of the day, this staff clearly is not happy and this owner's not happy either. So it's not working. But then to make changes is so uncomfortable that you're like, I'm just going to sit here and see what else maybe will work, which is nothing.
Yeah, good plan. Obviously, that was sarcasm.
Yeah, I got that.
I just want to be clear for people listening. I don't even know where to begin on this. Do you have a question or anything?
So I
think this just sounds like a cluster, and I'm not trying to be rude because I want to.
No, I think it's great. I think anyone that's listening,
I want to help anybody. Yeah, I want to help the people that are listening. I don't know if a person in that circumstance is open or willing for help.
Well, so I think there's probably
you have to be willing to receive before somebody can give to you. Do you know what I mean? So that's just a tricky situation. You also have like a rep in there that's trying to give their 2 cents, and like it's just too many. It sounds like too many people trying to run it. Like the salon staff's trying to run it. You have people from the outside trying to help run it. You have the leader who's not leading, who's trying to run it. And that's when things get confusing. There's no hierarchy at all. And so, yeah, of course things suck. Yeah.
So
of course.
I guess it would be giving the advice of if you're an owner or wherever you are of any business, and you're just like, if you feel that same way, my staff won't listen, some will, some won't, some will buy in, some won't care. And every excuse comes to mind, right? It's always blaming, like, well, some aren't here all the time, so they're not going to understand that we're putting new things in. Some are over here and they're only like half in. But we're like, to that person, to me, the advice is, first of all, she's worried about too many things, right? It needs to be going back to getting a mission, a vision, and core values. Like, what do you stand for and what do you want to see in the future for this company, right? And then I guess it's maybe a mindset for this person or anybody that's listening is like, that's me. And I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't even realize I wasn't leading. And I didn't even realize I was letting my team lead me. Because I think that happens, right? It's you get over time, if you're feeling exhausted, you just keep being like, all right, fine, just do it. All right, fine, just do it. And then you realize, like, why is everybody just doing everything I never co-signed when you did, but like you didn't do it because of the way you wanted to. I think there's some, I guess, pieces of advice we could give if someone's in this scenario. Like, what are a few things you could do besides just like, I don't fucking know.
Okay. No, I know the answers. It's just, it's like would that person even be willing to, I guess I was looking at it as we were talking to that person and not to,
I think there's a lot of people in this scenario.
Or yeah. So the first thing is you got to be open to change, because if you're going to sit there, I think I just posted about this on Instagram or wherever, maybe it was in my newsletter. I don't recall, but if you're going to sit there and just say that nobody's going to do it, then you're not ready to make any change.
I agree.
So nothing that anybody says is going to help.
And are you
it doesn't
also,
matter.
As an owner, maybe you don't realize, are you working with the right team? You may need to change that. That's not comfortable either, but there's a point where you have to have the people under your roof buying into what you want them to be doing.
Mm-hmm. I forget what I was saying before that.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's not your fault. Oh, I was just saying, like, you have to be ready, I guess. My next thing would be like, you have to have some sort of a system or something that you've created. You can't just do this stuff on the fly. Hey guys, today we're keeping this here. Like, no, where do we keep it every day?
Right.
Like, and that stuff needs to be drawn up and written out. Like I joked about when we opened, we had this is where the back bar is. This is where you return everything. And I still get annoyed sometimes. Sometimes people forget, but sometimes people are just freaking lazy. And at the end of your shift, you might be tired, so you don't put products back. And then guess what? That's the product somebody's looking for, and it's just a pain in the butt. So put the shit back. Like that's one of our like few rules. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But it's something that we opened with. We have shelving where all of the back bar products go. That way we don't have to look for it. Obviously, if it's not there and it's a busy day, you glance around and you're like, oh, we only had one of those left and somebody has it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what I'm talking about. But, when you're finished using something, it needs to go back to where it is. That's a really super basic system, but if you're not willing to put that system in, then nobody knows it exists. So you can't get
Mm-hmm.
upset that you can't get upset that people know stuff that you didn't tell them.
Right.
Step 2 or 3 or B or Q or wherever we're at with this cluster would be to, I'm not making light of it, but I am kind of, aren't I?
Okay.
Anyways, you have to understand the people you're dealing with. You have to have some sort of empathy. Ask yourself why, and this is going to suck. If you're an owner or a leader, manager, whatever, in your salon or any business, and I've had to do this in the past, nobody's doing what you want them to do. When you ask yourself why they're not doing that, it's going to come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're the reason they're not doing that. Why? Because again, you don't have any systems and you're not leading them.
Right.
You have to lead. If you're not willing to tell people that they screwed up or that they're doing something that's subpar or not meeting satisfactory requirements of, working at your business, if you're not going to tell them that stuff, they're not going to know.
Right.
I think I messed that sentence up, but I'm just going to move on.
No, I think I would agree. If you don't tell them, then they don't know. And if you don't tell them, they're going to do it again and again. And at some point, you're so frustrated, but you never, ever even let them know that what they were doing was frustrating you. Like you have to have these hard conversations. It's not easy, but it's your job as a leader, as an owner.
Another thing you can do as well, if you're listening and you're struggling with buy-in from your team, is to just have some sort of collaboration. So tell them that you're open to their ideas, but then make it very clear that you're still going to make a decision based on what you believe is best for the business.
Love that.
So we're always open with our team. I'm always looking for feedback. I'm always, I really don't like spending time in our break room, but I do sometimes sneak back there and just chat with people and try to get feedback or try to get how people are feeling, how people are thinking about certain things, and then take that into consideration because, they're the ones working behind the chair most of the time. They're the ones that are, working in the salon. And if we can logistically make things easier for them, I want to be able to do that. But that's not the same thing as letting what is the saying about letting the crazy people run the asylum or whatever, something like that. Like that's not what you want to do.
Right.
And I know sometimes people will be like, well, I don't want to shake things up, but you really kind of do. You need to.
Yes. More often than
So
not.
the other thing I would recommend is some sort of actual training. Like, what have you done to train these people? Like you said, this example of a salon, and you said it's common, and I've heard you talk about this a lot because you've been in a lot of salons, and a lot of them run that way,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just sort of whatever, and then the owner gets pissed because it's not going their way, but everyone's just been doing whatever for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're an owner, what sort of training have you provided? And I'm not talking about you sign them up for an online blonding course. I'm talking about training in your salon. When we were opening Hello, we ran through with our team a couple of days worth of like a soft opening almost, where we brought people in and we worked through the workflow and we moved things around and we were like, this needs to go here. We thought this would be better here, but it needs to move here. And then like we worked the space,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to support them after, which would mean follow-ups and checking up with them. Yeah, I would do all of that stuff.
I agree. And those should be things that you've already been doing. And those, if they seem overwhelming to you, you got to start with one because those are just things that should be on the daily, like that you're just
Well,
always
yeah, and
doing.
you said in this example, I think I was trying to get at this and then I kind of lost my thought, but you said in this example, it's a new owner. So somebody came in and bought the salon. What did they buy? Was like, what is like, so if this salon came and was like, we want you to help us right this ship, I would be like, great. Let's start with your foundation stuff. I'll need to see that. And then I'll need to see your playbook or your staff handbook or whatever. Like, so if you don't have that stuff, what did you purchase? Equipment? Like,
I don't
I
know.
don't like, yeah. So is it an actual business? Like, is there anything that I can hold that's like sellable
Hmm. I don't
other
know.
than equipment?
Right.
Like, so what, I guess I would ask them, like, what are we working from?
Hmm.
It should be a staff handbook, right?
Should be.
So if you,
And hopefully, if there was, then you reinvented it for what you wanted.
I just, it's hard to talk about this stuff without any more detail, I guess.
Too bad it wasn't an interview. Not an interview, but
I could
like,
say, no, we can just keep it general, but yeah, I would, you need that stuff. If you don't have a handbook, you have to have a handbook. If you don't have foundations, like when that person came in, did they buy into the mission and the vision and the core principles of the existing business? If not, they needed to have an attack plan for how they were going to implement that stuff and how they were going to make changes. Like if one salon owner's vision includes education and one salon owner's does not, those
mhm,
salon businesses look drastically
mhm,
different. So you're going to need a process where you're weeding out probably people, like staff included, because if you have a bunch of people that are expecting weekly education and you're not somebody that's looking to provide that, then those people aren't going to work there
right.
because they shouldn't work there.
I think in this
You know
scenario
what I mean?
too,
Like
yeah. I wonder if when and I you see it
it
often
just
that people are getting rid of their salon and or selling it or whatever, and people think it's a good deal to be buying it and not realizing like maybe it looks profitable on paper. It's like, oh, this is great, but also like you said, like, do you align with what the salon is doing? What are you going to do to make it your own? Like these are things you should be thinking of. And when you come in, what is your presence going to do in this scenario? Rather than just like, oh, I have a salon now, which I think often people even just open like, oh, I have a salon, I'm an owner. I'd prefer to tell nobody I'm the owner. I don't want you to know. That's me.
I think the other thing that is important in what we do with our staff is that we try to appreciate the why. So whenever we make a change, we'll have some staff that are like, why would we do that? Or we'll have staff that tries to come to us and they're like, hey, thought about this and we should do it this way. And which is cute, but I didn't ask because we already thought about it from every angle, trust me.
Yeah.
And the thing that the staff are looking for is the why. They want to
Mhm.
understand. So if you understand why your staff wouldn't buy in, I guess, to your changes, then that might help you too. So what are some reasons that staff might not buy in
Mhm.
to your changes? I think the first one would be lack of communication,
Mhm.
clear communication. And that would, again, come from your business foundations and your principles and how you make your decisions. So if your staff doesn't know that you're running your business from a certain perspective, or back that up, if you don't know that you're
Mhm.
running it from a certain perspective, then how are they supposed to know?
Right.
They're not. It's impossible. So you have to have some sort of clear communication. We're constantly talking about our core values at our business because it's important to
Mhm.
us and it's how we make our decisions. Integrity is the first one. We deal with it all the time. We're
Mhm.
like, hey, is that is what you're about to do or is what you're considering something that you could say has integrity,
Mhm. True.
and it should be really clear
Right. All the time.
if it's yes or no. Right. I think for a lot of people, it's simply the fear of the unknown.
Mhm.
So I don't want change because this works for me,
Mhm.
even though I'm miserable. People would rather stay miserable than
I
change.
was gonna say
But if
fear
you can,
is a huge one.
yeah, fear. And we all have it, but a good leader can show you what it's going to look
Mhm.
like on the other side and how it's going to benefit you and the business, which benefits everybody.
Yeah.
But you need that good leader. That's the missing piece
I
there.
think too with that, a lot of times I think fear is a big
all
one.
clear. It's all clarity.
Yeah.
It's all just breaks down to clarity.
I think when you're fearful of doing things, and until you get on the other side of that, where now you're excited about your idea, if you present it when you're in the stage of fear, everyone around you is fearful. But if you've gotten to the stage of excitement, and then when you present your new idea or these new systems, and you're so excited, that is so contagious, just as the fear part would be. But if you're showing them excitement and inspiration, I think it's gonna be really fun. Like, and this is what we're gonna get out of it. And to what you just said, Todd, this is why we're doing this. And you come in with this enthusiastic idea, you're going to get more embracement than not. And you're always going to get pushback, or you're always going to get people asking questions as they process it. A lot of times, then, if someone's asking you a question as they're processing it, now you feel pushback. It's not always pushback, they're just processing it. And everybody has a different way of doing that. And as your staff grows, you get different people with different ways of processing. So, as a leader, it's your job to let them process and then come back, but not lose your steam and not take some of their processing as the pushback. That may not be what it is. And even if it is a little, it's still your job to keep leading in the same direction and pushing forward and get them excited with you. Or then you're in a position where the decision needs to be made. Is this person right for your team or not? Those, again, aren't easy things, but this is how you progress your business. You took all the risk, and how you get your business to where you want it to be.
My next point too I wanted to make was there's probably some sort of lack of trust, right? From the staff to the leadership. They're not necessarily buying in. And we talk about buy-in so often that it's probably annoying people listening. But if somebody came in and bought our salon, how would our staff feel? Would they believe that they're Jen and Todd? You know what I mean?
Right.
Would they truly trust them? Would they buy into their vision? I don't know. That person would have to sell that to
Right.
the team, which is what it sounds like this person has to do.
Mhm.
And the way that you would do that is through consistency and modeling the behavior that you want to see and holding people accountable for the behavior that you don't want to see. You cannot let stuff slide, because then it's just when you let the first thing slide, and I'm not talking about being hard on your staff, but I'm talking about accountability, which I hate to sound old. I'm Gen X, okay?
Mhm.
So I hate to sound like a boomer here, but you know, back in the day, your boss told you what to do and you did it, or you didn't have a job. That's
Right.
how it went. Nowadays, everyone is super sensitive, and that's just too bad. You're not in charge. And I think we have to get back to, as owners, as business owners in general, not just salon staff, but any business, we have to get back to these are the guidelines, rules, whatever you want to call them. I don't care.
Mhm.
And if you can't follow these rules, you can't be
Right.
here. But people live in fear so often that's a different topic.
Yeah.
That's on the salon owner. Like, I don't know, go take some class or something somewhere, or hire a mentor or
Right.
whatever, work through your own shit. But you can't be a leader if you're constantly going to be like, I don't want to shake things up.
Right.
It's just not going to work. I think people had negative experiences in the past as well. That's
Mhm.
a big one. We hear that all the
Yeah.
time. And I tell people, I'm so blunt about it. People were laughing on Saturday. Someone said, well, at my last salon. And I said, fuck your last salon.
Right.
I do not care. Don't bring it up anymore. I don't want to hear about it. It's not anything against the specific salons. It's not. It's just your past experiences. Don't bring them with
Right.
you.
And we want
Leave them.
you need to come into our salon with an open mind if this is what you're doing now. That's why we all picked each other, right? You're so
Yeah.
stuck in the
Everybody.
past, you're never going to arrive in the present.
Yeah, and you might think I'm great. If you just listen, you're like, I would never talk to my staff like that. Okay, cool. Don't. But I'll tell you what, it's effective because I had everybody laughing, and then I explained exactly what I meant by
Mhm.
that. I wasn't saying like F you to that
Right.
salon. I was just saying get the idea of everything negative, which includes that last salon, out of your head. Why are you holding on to
Yeah.
that?
It's got to go.
We only have so much bandwidth.
Mhm.
Yeah, it has to go because I need you to focus on the positive stuff that
Mhm.
you're doing now.
Right.
I guess the other thing, like where people could run into issues too, kind of wrapping up, is just like a low morale
Mhm.
sort of thing where people are like, why would I do that? No one else does it.
Right.
And I guess you'll just have to re-inspire people. You'll have to, as a leader, come in and celebrate people. You'll have to be like, hey, it could be little silly stuff like just complimenting their work or shouting them out on social media, or you should have some sort of private communication. We use Slack, and you can shout people out on there. Hey, you got this review and I wanted to share it with everybody, not just you, and
Right.
that pumps people up and it makes them feel good and it makes them feel engaged. And it definitely shows your staff that you're bought in, that you're actually paying attention. They're not just like a number to you.
Yeah.
Which is what causes a lot of this, because I remember at your last salon when I came in to help out with stuff, I was like, this person has to go. And the resistance was that person brings in a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. So you can have it one way or the other way, but you're not going to have both.
Right.
It's just not going to work. And I was right. It didn't work. I was right again. No, I'm just kidding. Do you have anything else to wrap it up? I feel like I sort of took over your... It
was great. I talked the whole time in the beginning. No, I think that's awesome. And hopefully it helps some people think of some maybe just different things and different ways to approach things. And if you're feeling, kind of like you can't push ahead, you're going to have to internally ask yourself why and do some work on yourself. Or like you said, hire a mentor. Even a call with us like once sometimes can help just get you inspired and feeling like, all right, I got this. Like I can see a few things I can do right now, and I can make a plan for the future of things I can do in a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to be clear to people listening. Like, I know I come across sarcastic and dry a lot, but I don't think I'm better than anybody. What I do think I'm really good at is adapting and changing. Mm-hmm. I think we're really good, and we taught ourselves and we worked hard to be able to pivot. And when things come up, they're not the end of the world to us anymore, because I'll sit back on it. You had a couple of things that you wanted to bring
Mm-hmm.
up to me yesterday, and you normally would. And sometimes that leads to friction because it's not the right time. Yeah. We're having like my phone light just turned on. We're having like family time and stuff. It's not business time. So it would have not worked. But we've learned how to sort of sit on certain things that need to be sat on. Some things can go on the back burner for longer than you think, and some things need immediate attention. Right. And it's okay wherever those fall. Some stuff is going to be able to be changed instantly, and some stuff is going to take weeks, months, or however long, mm-hmm. right? And that's just the reality. You can't become frustrated with it. If there's a process or something that you want to implement, say you want to put together an education calendar for 2025, you're probably not going to sit down and do that in 2 days. Right. That's probably going to take you some work. You're probably going to have to reach out to people, unless you're doing it all yourself, right? Unless you're a heavy lifter and someone like you that educates. Yeah. But if you're bringing people in for classes, you're not going to be able to lay that out in a week. Right. It's going to take some legwork. So don't become frustrated. That's it.
Okay.
All right. Get on my newsletter list, everyone.
It's a good one.
If you're not on there, get on there. You can click the button. I'll put it in several spots. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from it. So I'm excited. Yeah. And which makes, anytime you get good feedback, you're like, all right, I'll keep doing this.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Because I definitely had some periods where I was like, is anyone reading this thing? Who cares? Like, I'll just stop doing it. And then I would
someone
have
goes,
reach out.
I love your newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sucks because it pulls me back in. And then I was like, you know what? I got a couple of those. I'm going to restructure this just for fun. And I restructured the whole thing. So I'll just give it a plug, right? So I restructured it into like a 3-2-1 style, which you've probably seen if you get newsletters, and you should be getting newsletters because there's so much free, amazing information out there. And what I do is I share 3 business insights every week that'll help you either as a business owner or as someone with their career, right? And then I share 2 either quotes or stories. And then I end with a question or a thought I leave you to think about.
That's awesome.
And it's been a lot of fun. And I will say that all of the stuff that I write about is stuff that we've done, either at Hello, with our gym, with your past salon, with businesses that I've run or managed. It's all stuff that I've actually done. It's not theory or, oh, this sounds cool. Like this could work for businesses. Because I see a lot of that stuff. I unsubscribe to those newsletters where it's like, this could work. And you're like, you did not do that. There's no way you did that. It doesn't even make sense. But anyways, yeah, it's all stuff that's coming from a business operator from my perspective. And it's designed to just help whoever's reading. That's all I got.
Love it.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.